County Commission for Tuesday, July 11, 2023. Please rise for the pledge. Number 3 on the agenda is an invitation for a citizen to schedule a time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. There's a 5-minute time limit per person. Anyone wanting to speak during this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. No commission action will be taken during the agenda item. Any requested action may be scheduled for a future meeting date. And at this time, we have nobody signed up. We'll move on to number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approval. Second.
Second. Any changes or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda items, which includes the minutes, travel and education requests, personnel action notices, cellular authorizations, and human services report. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Comments. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Number 6, routine business. Letter A, approval of claims. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, comments. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Letter B is be it noted items, names added to for our work comp purposes, volunteer list. This is BCOAC volunteer list and adding Merritt Warren to the minutes. Letter C is department head reports. Brian, would you like to start us off?
Good morning. Start with the country club box culvert. That is completed. We're waiting on asphalt sub to show up. And once the asphalt is completed, erosion and seeding need to take place. And that will have to be done in August because of seasonal limitations. Substantial completion on that is August 15th. And final completion is September 15th. We anticipate that work being done before that, but those are the completion dates. The Bruce Bridge.
What date are you looking at potentially open that up? Is that August 15th or 17th or September 15th?
Well, the substantial completion would be all items are taken care of, such as the road would be open,
Okay.
and any of the seeding items could be taken care of in between August and September. Would be final completion, but we anticipate those dates being sooner than that.
Okay. I keep wanting to know when it's going to be done, and
Right.
so I just want to try to give an idea.
Yep, and the latest I heard is they were gonna be paving the asphalt this week, but I'm not holding my breath because we got told that they were gonna be paving it last week. But with the 4th, I kinda gave a little leniency on what they told me.
Yeah.
So I would assume that if we get that paved, that the road will be opened.
Yeah.
And then anytime in between there to get the erosion control and seeding done.
Okay, so potential after it paves, it could be open. So we're thinking
Yeah.
maybe the end of the month, possibly.
Yes, potentially.
Okay, thank you.
The Bruce Bridge rehab project, Cram, the contractor or the prime contractor is completed with their work as far as any of the all the concrete's been poured. What we're waiting on is the guardrail transitions, which includes some grading work. And after that grading work is completed, the asphalt to transition into the bridge from the road, and then the installation of guardrail, and then obviously the erosion control. The completion date for that project was last year, November 1, but they're still within their working day limits that we established for this project. The last that I got notified that contractor would be in to perform that work is next week. but we'll see what that comes. I will keep you guys informed of that. I know we've been getting a lot of questions, so I'm assuming you guys have, but that's where that one sits right now. I know it's been pretty idle out there for the last couple weeks. July 5th, I met with BMU and the city on the 20th Street and 34th Avenue progress meetings for phase 1 of their water line installation. And last week, asphalt was completed on 34th Avenue. So that work on our portion of our road is completed. They are working on the city's side of it on 34th Avenue north of 8th Street. So that road that's between basically the train tracks and 14 is still continued to be worked on the city side. But the anticipation of ours being opened is going to be when the minor grading takes place, which should be soon, I would assume, but I just know the asphalt got done last week, and I haven't talked with any of the BMU officials since. So
Do they got to put black dirt and seed that yet on the shoulders?
correct.
I drove it this morning. The road seems really nice.
Yeah. Some additional work that was requested by the county and the BMU staff. You know, they basically only tore out one side of that road because there's some manhole issues that are fairly expensive to work on. Is the reason they didn't excavate the whole road up, but I think we ended up with a really good product there. I'm happy with the way the road ended up. Prior to paving, I was out there to meet with them, and we both signed off on it before any pavement was put down, because as you guys remember, BMU is going to be holding that 1-year warranty on that section of road. So as far as that goes, that is getting close to being done. 44th Street South water line install is completed. The sub base is prepped, waiting on the sub to install base course, and then after the base course is installed, they'll install 2 lifts of asphalt, and that road will be opened back up prior to them closing north of the S curves to further that work to tie in. Once that work is completed, that stretch of road will be paved or, completed, and then 44th Street South, from my understanding, will be closed down for a short time because they have to remove the existing sewer that's out in the field. And then once that removal is completed, the final lift of asphalt will be put on 44th, and then will be opened up after that. So it's a little bit of a jump back and forth there, but BMU's been excellent to work with on that. I'll give them that. Very communicative. I know they're working diligently with the citizens down there. We've received very few phone calls, and the calls we have received, they're been transferred to BMU. So aside from that, our crews have been working on installing culverts on the northeast side of the county on County Road 40 and 42. In between that, we've been patching with asphalt, so there's been some temporary closures up there, but nothing overnight as far as that goes. We're going to begin some work on County Road 38 next week. We need to, in an effort to try to improve a transition to one of our bridges, we're going to be removing some asphalt to make that happen, to improve the transition on that bridge closest to County Road 77 on County Road 38 north of town here. Mowing, we've completed our mowing. I'm sure with the weeds that we've got growing along the edge of the road, we'll have to go touch up some areas. Aside from that, working with the sheriff's department on those additional warning devices that you guys authorized the purchase of. Marty's got us a map now, so those will be going up. And once those are put up, I'll give you guys a map to inform you guys where they were installed. Majority of them are at the four-way stop signs that we have around the county. And then a few of the busier intersections that the sheriff determined that were problematic areas. Lastly, I was informed yesterday by Banner Engineering. They're working with the city of White on a sewer water project. It's anticipated this work will be completed next year. Work phase right now is in the data collection phase, so I have no plans currently. But once I do get plans and review them, you guys will have permits to consider for that project. Aside from that, we did have to kind of move around things, and I did give you guys the list that you guys had asked for as far as the projects we'd be working on next year, and you guys got that in front of you.
Any questions for Brian? Thank you. Sheriff?
I don't really have anything. Is that I did identify some 4 other stop signs, but they're adjacent to state roads. So I'm dealing with the state to see if I get permission to put them up. Because you talked about County 6 and 81. We identified that area too, but I need to get permission because the state controls those stop signs. So
Understandable. All right. Any questions for Sheriff? All right. Thank you. Lori? Okay. Bob?
Good morning. Last night we had our planning and zoning meeting. Calls to the 4th. On the staff report, I did put down that we was going to be having a joint jurisdiction planning meeting, but that was false. That meeting will be in August. We do have our first joint meeting, and that will be first Tuesday of the month. After the city planning, before our county planning, we'll have a joint jurisdiction meeting for a conditional use permit, I believe. Other than that, Richard is here at this time doing some emergency management training. He is close to getting his certified emergency management level 1 at the state level, and that's always been a goal of ours. Tomorrow we do have an important Brookings County Recovery Transition meeting. That's at 10 o'clock, and that's we're getting just about to the point where we're going to close up the FEMA reimbursements and everything for the May 12th, I believe it was, derecho last year. So we're just about ready to close that up. And other than that, that's all I have. I will be heading to NACO next week, and let's hope the weather gets a little cooler down there. Any questions?
Any questions for Bob?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Move on to regular business. We have action number 7, scheduled agenda item at 9:30. We'll move on to regular business. Letter A, action to approve resolution 23-25, a resolution authorizing Brookings County to apply for a community development block grant on behalf of the Brookings Behavioral Health and Wellness for their facility expansion project. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Second. Discussion, comments?
This is basically the first step in what we have to do to get that process rolling. And behavioral health will do the majority of the work on it with First District.
All right. Any further comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter B, action to approve resolution 23-26, excuse me, a resolution listing uncollectible distress warrants. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Comments and discussion?
The story with unpaid mobile homes, every year we send out reminder letters in May and November to remind property owners that their taxes are unpaid. Then they are published in the newspaper in December. With mobile homes, in January, we issue distress warrants and give them over to the sheriff's office. They have 6 months to collect those taxes for us. Sometimes personal property can be taken, sometimes they take payments in their office, but they get the payments for us. At the end of those 6 months, if a mobile home still remains unpaid, it can be sold. And we had 2 this year that were sold. One is still, I guess the sale got moved back, but we have 2 that will be sold. We have the remainder of that list shows as unlivable or destroyed. Mobile homes that are still on location that the assessor's office determines is unlivable is assessed a $500 valuation, just so there is a tax on there to kind of get the property owner to destroy it and take care of it. The rest of them are on that list. We move them to an uncollectible list. They are still due. We can still collect that tax if by chance we come across a way to do so. But it's just moving them off the tax rolls. This year, we did have 3 county liens also get paid because of this process. One, I believe, was a court-appointed attorney, utility, and a rent lien. And so it was really nice, the extra legwork that they did to discover those and get those paid. So we just need approval to move the mobile homes onto the uncollectible list.
All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Hostler,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter C, an action to approve Resolution 23-27, a resolution proclaiming July 29th, 2023 as Korean War, Korean Defense Veterans Appreciation Day in Brookings County. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Or second? Discussion, comments? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter D, an action to approve abatement number 23-15, an abatement application made by Teresa Ritzer for parcel number 40999-00006-157-00 in the amount of $29.13. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
Second? I didn't.
Second.
Second.
Okay, sorry. Discussion. Discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll, or excuse me, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Letter E, action to approve agreement 23-41, an inmate housing agreement between Brookings County Sheriff's Office and Roberts County Detention Center. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion. Sheriff? You bet.
Budget hearing, the commission talked about juvenile costs and stuff, and I checked with Huron, and they don't have staff right now, so they're only doing their own juveniles. And but Roberts County has room, which they did send me a contract, and so I just got it as a backup. It's $210 at Roberts County if we wanted to hold a juvenile there.
Okay.
But I'm working on our 48 hours in Brookings, so we just got to get our policies and get everything in order, so
Okay.
that we can hold for 48, so.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Bartley,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Letter F, action to approve agreement 23-42, an agreement for voluntary right-of-way donation between Brookings County and Clint and April Willert. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval. Second.
Second. Discussion, comments?
We were awarded a grant on June 25th of 2020. It's a local federal bridge replacement grant. It's 2.3 miles south and 3 west of White on 475th Avenue for a total grant cost share of $445,000, leaving Brookings responsible for $80,322 and the federal government at $364,678. So it's a 18.05% cost share on this bridge, and These agreements that I've brought forth to you are for temporary and permanent easements. So the temporary would be for construction purposes, and the permanent easements would be for items such as riprap.
All right. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Letter G, an action to approve a request to fill vacancy for a full-time female correctional officer in the sheriff's office. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion.
So due to a resignation that came in late yesterday, the sheriff's office is requesting that rather than one position, they're asking for 2 positions to be advertised and filled.
Okay. Further discussion.
You said 2?
Yes. A resignation came in yesterday, so it didn't make the agenda, but if we can amend this to say 2 positions, then we can get that moving forward.
I'll make the amendment that it be 2.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Further discussion on the amendment. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, any further discussion on the amended request to fill vacancy? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Letter H, action to approve a payout of $51,339.73 in accrued vacation and sick leave for elected officials due to a policy change that went into effect July 1st, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. Discussion, comments?
The policy change was that elected officials as of July 1 this year would no longer be eligible to accrue vacation and sick leave per our, per the county policy. We had a couple of individuals that had been on that policy due to, I think mostly due to the fact that they were staff first and then they became elected department heads. And so they stayed on that policy. And the commission changed that policy. And so this is now paying them out that accrued vacation and sick leave. So they will officially then be off the policy moving forward.
And this gets all elected officials on the same.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
then all elected officials are then treated the same.
All right. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Jensen,
Aye.
Hostler,
Aye.
Vanderwall,
Aye.
Bartley,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda is number 9, Commission Department Directors Report.
I did send out some information. There are 2 upcoming meetings, webinars, basically. I believe they're going to be on the Teams format with state DOT regarding 2023 local federal bridge program, and then changes to the big improvement grant, or the big program. The first is actually this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and the second is next Tuesday, the 18th at 9 a.m. I think I forwarded both of those to all of the commission if you would like to attend one or the other. I think it's the same meeting just being held twice, so you don't have to attend both. It's one or the other if you so choose. The Conservation District, they had their tour agenda came out. So again, the August 9th, that's been on your calendar for a while, but then I did include the agenda for the day attached to my packet. It looks like we're going to probably try to meet out at the Conservation District building north of town about 8, take off about 8:15. Looks like they'll feed us some lunch at about 12:30, and then after that, everyone will be free to go from there. The I-29 interchange ribbon cutting is scheduled for the 23rd of August at 10 a.m. I'm assuming it will be probably somewhere out at the interchange site itself. I'm guessing, since it's a little ways out yet, that there will be more information to come, but wanted you to get that on your calendars if you wish to attend that. Fall convention, down in Sioux Falls is the meeting itself is September 12th and 13th. The golf outing is on the 11th. I do have hotel rooms reserved for both the Monday night and Tuesday night down there at the Ramcota if you need a room. So I guess I'll be asking who plans to attend and do you need a room? One night or 2 nights? Yes, no? Okay. I know you can't. Sean, do you plan to attend? Okay. Ryan?
Yes. I'm not sure on the rooms.
Okay. Yeah, we have a little bit of time on the rooms. We can get those canceled whenever, as it gets a little bit closer. Does anybody plan to participate in the golf event? Mike, I know you have in the past. Okay. I think there's a $50 fee, if I remember right, if that's what I remember seeing. And we have to get you signed up. Yeah, $50. So. Okay. Anybody else gonna do the golf? Or want to do the golf?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Okay, all right. And then we did also get an election notice from the South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance. That information is there. If you have any other questions, you can sure visit with me about that some more. A couple other things. I've heard from a couple of you, we did get an invitation, the commission received an invitation for the client luncheon out at the research park. I know I've RSVP'd for a couple of you. I believe Ryan and Kelly. Does anyone else plan to attend that? It's tomorrow, so if I would need to RSVP today. It doesn't really give an RSVP deadline, but I know, Larry, you said you could not, right? No?
I'm gonna try and make it. Let's just put it that way. I'm gonna try and make it, so.
What time is it?
11:30 out at the research park.
Yeah, I've got meetings in Sioux Falls tomorrow. I can't make it.
Okay. And Mike, you said you were going to try to make it? Do you want me to RSVP for you, Larry? Yeah, Larry, do you want me to RSVP for you or not? Okay.
Come on, Larry, it's gonna rain, right?
And then I believe I sent out to you, last week. We've been working on doing some office upgrades and the plans to change some office space around. Did get a quote from Clark Drew to do that work. There'll also be some expense from Office Peeps for some office furniture items. I don't anticipate that being too terribly much. We have a lot of stuff that we can reuse in the spaces. And that cost was $67,670. Are you okay with me moving forward with that? Yes? Okay. Let's see. Then the only other things are just some upcoming dates that you see there. Banner has an open house at their new Sioux Falls location on the 27th. Firefighters dance on the 29th. Conservation District tour we talked about. The CDI golf outing, I haven't seen anything yet. Did you want to put together a golf team for that event? And if so, who would be interested in doing that? Larry, yes?
What day is it again?
Thursday, August 10th.
Well, if Bob can cover me on the PPC BOD meeting, then I can play. All right.
So Ryan, Mike, you want to, Larry? Dan wants to. Anyone else interested in it? Dan said he's interested.
I can be the fourth if you need one.
Well, now we have 5.
Oh, I'll be an alternate.
Okay. And then the I-29 ribbon change. The rest I've kind of talked about. The other thing that I want to look at to get on calendars for you is department head reviews. We usually do those in the afternoon, a Tuesday afternoon after a commission meeting. So our commission meeting dates are October 10th or October 24th. What we usually do is start at 1 o'clock and review the process, and then start the reviews at about 1:30. And it goes until about 4:30. You're done and out of there by 5 o'clock. So wondering which of those dates you would prefer, the 10th or the 24th?
The third isn't we don't have a meeting on the third.
No, I have to look at my calendar. We switched October around a little bit. I think that's my fault because I'm not going to be here on the 3rd. So we switched meetings to the 10th and the 24th.
That actually works better for me, so
Me too.
either of them.
I'd
Do it on the 10th.
either are fine for me.
Yeah.
Anybody? Mike, do you have either one? Okay. We'll probably just go with that earlier one then to get him done. And I'll be getting you kind of what that looks like, that process and reviewing that. Just wanted to get that on your calendar. So the afternoon of October 10th, please mark off that afternoon for that. And other than that, I don't have anything else.
All right. Usually 1 to about 4 on that, or 3 or
It will go, I'm guessing, until probably about 4, plan for 5 o'clock. I think you probably will be done maybe a little bit before that.
all right. Sounds good. Next on the agenda is State's Attorney's Office report. All right, Commissioners' reports and discussion items. Commissioner Vanderwall.
Thank you. On June 26th, I attended the all-day budget hearing. I walked in the Brookings 4th of July parade, and then on July 7th, I attended the Samara 464th project meeting here in Brookings.
Mr. Bartley.
The 26th, budget hearings all day, and that completes my report.
All right. Larry.
On June 20th, in the afternoon, we had a meeting. Updates from the schools, SDSU. Yeah, it's pretty well attended. Pretty good informational meeting on what's going on around town, and hopefully some of this construction starts to cease and we can get around town. But on the 26th, had budget hearings all day. July 5th in the morning, we had a conservation meeting. There's planting season has kind of come to an end. They've done quite a bit of work this year. They're looking forward to the tour. Hopefully everybody can make it. July 7th, also attended the Samara Avenue meeting on some updates from the city of Volga on that. That's all I had.
Attended the budget hearings. On the 29th, we had the domestic abuse shelter. 6th, we had public affairs meeting.
All right. 26th, I had budget. Brookings Health. That's all I have. So, anything else on discussion? All right. we have do is we'll go into executive session here to knock out a few items, come back in for that, and then if we need to, go back into executive session. So number 12 is executive session in accordance to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, numbers 1 and 3, personnel and consulting with legal counsel. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will plan to be out of executive session for our 9:30.
Second.
Well, I think Jenna's got to come in. She's got to take minutes. Okay, we need a motion to come out of executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we are back on the agenda here. Number 7 is a scheduled agenda item for 9:30. Presentation by Matthew Weiss, project manager with Design Arc, Inc. on the courthouse roof project and alternatives. All right, you have the floor. Please introduce yourself.
Yep. Good morning, Commission. For Design Art Group.
My name is Hermela, our associate architect with Designer Group.
And we appreciate your time. We will be brief and look forward to our discussion. Today, we are reviewing the schematic design set, which is approximately 1/3 of the way through the design window in an architectural project. And today, our big task is ideally, we are defining which types of work we're going to go forward with on this project, whether you want to go forward with any additional work or just stick with a straight roof replacement. So within your packet, you should have the preliminary budget analysis and schematic design plan set, and just additionally the specification draft, which is of really no concern right now. The budget is the big thing we want to review with you. So roof replacement costs are somewhat predictable in an unpredictable building environment. So we are quite confident that the preliminary budget associated with the roof replacement shown, total expenses at $351,937 and change, is pretty accurate. So what we're showing, if you could pan to the next page, please. So very simply, with roof replacement projects, the number that we usually get from the actual roofing contractor is just simply $1 per square foot. And that dollars per square foot includes all of those separate line items associated. So for instance, the EPDM membrane, or whatever membrane is pursued with. Right now, we're doing EPDM, that is our suggestion. Additionally, that would include then all the flashing trim, any treated wood blocking for the parapet capping, etc. So that total itself is then $193,750. And what we're doing is we are suggesting that you improve the drainage, the perimeter drainage around the roof. Currently, I think there are 5. Or how many roof drains, Hermela, do you remember?
I think there are about 9 right
9,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And essentially, it's not keeping up. And unfortunately, there is not much space between the tapered area to your parapet wall. And what that's doing is it's pooling water around the perimeter of your courthouse roof, right? And there's not much space for us to cricket the water to a drain. So what we'd like to do is propose that you add some additional roof drains around the perimeter. And that cost itself, when we went through it, we're assuming a certain amount of money per roof drain. And we are confident that it can tie into your existing verticals within the building. So that total is approximately $75,000 to improve the drainage. It's not absolutely imperative that you do this, but it is beneficial because it will improve the ability for the courthouse to withstand events, and eventually, water always wins, of course. And that has happened to you recently in the past year or two, where in a particular spot you've had leakage through one of these pool areas. And we'd like to take care of that if we can. So separately from the hard costs, of course, we've always got development costs assumed with any project, and so those are shown here. And so currently those development costs are, we want to show something that's comprehensive with a budget analysis. As it stands, we understand that you don't have a set budget on this project necessarily. So the total expenses, going back to the first page, please, are With the roof itself, it appears to be roughly $351,000. And bear in mind that this is schematic right now, and it can be refined going forward. So that's the roof itself. I would also like to present to you some additional things for you to consider to improve the building's longevity. So from street side, from eye level, there's no way that you can tell, but your cupola structure, the stone masonry above the roof, it's showing pretty severe issues with the mortar tuck pointing between the stone slabs. And we would suggest that at this time or very soon, you consider doing a tuck pointing of the cupola itself. And the costs of tuck pointing are not egregious. To do that, because it is rather high up, it's a bit difficult to get to. It's going to be a little bit more expensive than a typical tuck pointing job. And at this particular point in time, mason work is very expensive because we've got, at least in Brookings County, a labor shortage. So tuck pointing is coming out to about $16,000. And the windows, the 4 large windows, the historic wood windows, there are a couple of locations which it might be of benefit for you to do some window rehab work. I don't suggest at this time that you try to replace the windows. They're rather big openings, and only little parts of the wood framing and the sash work is going bad right now. All the glass panes are intact. So that cost, we are kind of identifying as approximately $21,000, and that would be something for, ideally, we want to know that right now or around this venture in time so that we can either proceed forward with all of these scopes of work, or you can choose to split those off into separate contracts. And it's up for your attorney to decide if the value is low enough then to where you, quite honestly, don't even need us to do the work, though we'd love to help you. So we're presenting some cost options to help protect the building and for your discussion. If you don't mind, I'd like to just briefly review the floor plan, or the design drawings thus far. And so this is roughly the amount of sheets that would be expected within our bid set to the contractors. And the floor plans are really of no concern, and you can review at your leisure. I just simply want to direct you then to what would be, is this, Hermela, would you think this last sheet would be on here?
The one that's pulled up right now, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a evidence of, we've got some rather large cracks in the masonry, specifically at the corners. It's never good to encourage water to get in. So thus far, it doesn't seem to be doing damage. Water isn't really getting inside the cupola from these joints, but over time, it can lead to further spalling of the stone itself. And we don't want that. Tuck pointing is a simple expense so long as you are on top of it periodically. Next page, please. And so here's the windows, and really, of course, you can imagine the bottom sill plate is where you can, precisely where the cursor is showing. A couple locations there, specifically at the north window, which is quite common. And then also on the west facade, the radiused wood frame on the bottom right image, very little of that is occurring, and it's mostly cosmetic in nature at that particular point.
Question on figure 17. It appears that there may have been a slight repair done previously on that corner.
It's very possible that somebody would have tried to do wood filler on that, and that is a quite common solution, is to just simply get a profile with cut out a plastic tool and profile it with wood filler. And I'm not sure, I guess. My suggestion is that probably that entire board would be replaced with a more of a professional approach.
takes a certain talent to go in there and cut those pieces out and put them back in. So
For sure.
that's not going to be cheap to do that, I would imagine. But you're structurally, as you go up 6, 8 inches or a foot up, everything is solid and everything is fine. It's just below that.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's obviously rotted out. You can see that.
Mhm. Yep, the bottom 6 inches or so of the vertical frame members are rotted, and that's very common for a structure of this age. Even as you know, houses built in the 50s will be evidencing this with wood windows right now. So, yeah, there are some companies in the local area within 2 to 3 hours of Brookings that do this type of work.
Do they necessarily replace it with wood, or can it be replaced with a resin material or something that won't rot?
Generally speaking, I guess that is up for the architect to decide, or in this case, because this is a state-protected building,
Right.
the State Historic Preservation Office will have some say on that. They would like for it to be replaced in kind, and that would be wood, painted wood. But you probably could have
Well, you
something.
could certainly make the argument that we don't want to do this again if we don't have
Yep,
to.
for sure. It is something to say, though, that these are rather big windows, and to match the pattern with anything different than what you've got would be quite difficult to do, and much more expensive than the rehab that is shown. To do a full window replacement.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about a full window replacement. I'm just talking about, instead of the wood pieces being in there, that the
Mhm.
sub a different material that wouldn't
Yep.
rot, that we
Right.
didn't have years ago when this was built.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It is possible, I suppose, that one could approach the state to have, aluminum profiles specifically for the sill plate. You could wrap the bottom bit of the vertical pieces with an aluminum product. You just need to make sure that the top edge is sealed very well so that you're not trapping water behind that metal.
All right. Well, we have it on the agenda as discussion and possible action. So thoughts on this? So if we approve this, whatever we approve, what's the next step?
The next, yeah, you would have to approve the scope of the project.
Yep.
And then maybe some more design elements, but then it would be a bid process, correct?
I suppose it's difficult to answer. Let me start at the beginning on this. Our office has been contracted to provide a roof replacement project. It's always been known from the get-go that there might be some reason to suggest adding tuck pointing and some sort of window work because of the conditions you're seeing in these photos. So right now, our contract is currently only for roof replacement. We'd need to amend that to include this other work. I think that you should consider, maybe off to the side, whether you want to go forward with all of this, because there's a couple things to consider. First of all, we'd need to amend our fees to include a little bit more fees for this work that you're seeing. Secondly, what we're showing is 3 different distinct trades, and if you were to stick strictly with roof replacement, you are bidding out to a roofing contractor, and you're not including then the costs associated with a general contractor adding that 6% whatever. So if you add all of these 3 different scopes of work, you probably will necessitate there being a general contractor where, if you were to split them into different work times or different projects, you would likely avoid a general contractor and their fee. So that's something to decide. Obviously, you can get everything done so long as the budget seems appropriate. You could get all of that work done right away and not have to worry about it. Less headache on Stacy's side probably, and yours as well. But that is ultimately for you to decide. If you want to go forward with all of this work right now, we can amend it and we can go forward, but it likely would result in more money spent than splitting it.
your company be responsible for doing the presentation to the historical board then?
Yes. Upon your approval one way or another, whether that's today or some other time, we are essentially the medium between you and the State Historic Preservation Office. So we will submit that application. And of course, I'm the Historic Preservation Chair for City of Brookings, so I'm quite familiar with that. So we will present that to the state, and usually they want to see stamped bid documents for them to make a determination on the final approval. But we would approach them as quick as we can to get at least some verbal approval that we're good to go with what we're doing. And I've already made a call, an informal call with them, and so long as it's replacement in kind for the roof, it's really of no concern.
If we were to approve the roof and then down the road do the windows and the other stuff, how would that affect the work that's already been done? Would we have to redo some of that, and would there be extra costs in that, or do you know for sure?
So if you were to do the roof first, and then you go forward with all this other stuff, it's very unlikely that it would damage the roof. Certainly they'd need to take care, but they always would, to make sure that, you know, fasteners aren't being stepped on your roofing membrane. That's a good example. But doing this roof and, doing the window work and the tuck pointing work would be of no damage. I would presume no damage done to the roof itself.
Wouldn't have to tweak the roof in some way and then replace it or do
No.
something on there?
Nope,
Okay.
not whatsoever.
Okay.
Yep,
Just
they would keep all of their tuck pointing work, specifically the tuck pointing work, it would be above the termination of the roofing membrane.
but then if we did decide to wait, then of course construction costs or other costs could be more than is estimated here.
It could be, and it does not appear to be going downhill ever. So my guess is yes, it would. But like I said before, masonry right now at this given window is quite difficult to get your hands on. So I suggest that at the very earliest, you don't try to get tuck pointing done this year.
Is there a possibility one contractor would do the whole project, or is it probably 3 different contractors?
So a general contractor, I don't think would ever do roofing work. They would always sub that out. Possibly some general contractors would do tuck pointing, but I actually would not recommend that because they would not do as good a job as a mason would. And then the window rehab, they could probably do, but again, that you might get a better product from a specialist. But in any event, a GC would never do a roofing replacement. I really don't think so. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. I didn't know if you knew of a specialty contractor that would be able to handle all 3 aspects.
No, truly not. Roofing is very specialized. Roofing contractors exist for a reason. They don't do anything else, and nobody really does their work. Possibly you could find somebody skilled with both window work and masonry, but I don't know of any in the local area.
Commissioner Bartley.
Just to Commissioner Hostler's comments, would we be smart if we're going to do the tuck pointing and woodwork, window work up on the cupola? Would we be smarter just do that first, then do the roof afterwards? Would we time it? I mean, our goal was to do the roof. Well, we'll get it done.
Yeah.
The second part of the question is the 9 or 7 additional foot drains, is that included in your roof analysis right now at $357,000? In other words, replacement of the roof includes the drains as you proposed it.
As we propose,
All
correct.
right, so that's still in the roof work that you've been paid to engineer for us.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so that's covered. The only additional work is going to be this cupola work.
Yes.
All right. So again, the question is there an advantage to doing the cupola first if we can get the bids out for it quickly, get it accomplished, and then stage the roof secondary to that?
It might depend upon your um, your tolerance for pain, I guess. You've already got some roof leaking occurring, and as it stands, because we're setting this to be a 2024 project, is my understanding. You are going to likely see some type of roof leaking in the spring of 2024, which is maybe inevitable at this point, unless you do some, um, unless you can get Kirk up there to do a little bit of patching in specific areas. But I think that there really isn't any benefit necessarily, and I think mostly it would rely upon when can you get a mason, because that appears to be a concern right now, and it might be when you try to bid it out, you'll come to find that they're busy yet again for 2024.
Do you think we're going to be able to get a bid in 2023 for the roof and complete it this fall?
No.
It'll be next year anyway.
It depends, if you were to expedite this, we're 75% complete with this project already, as you can see. We could get it out for bids, but very quickly, within like a month or so. And then let's say then that August is your bid window, and then late September is probably your earliest for the roofing contractor to get there, pending their availability. That's well before winter, so it could happen. But it just simply depends on if you have the funding right now to assume it, because our understanding is that this is part of your next fiscal year's budget.
Well, just listening to this, normally when you have a project like this on a roof and we have the additions, normally you would do those additions because there's a benefit that it might be less expensive or something like that, but it doesn't seem like these additions would be less expensive to do them. So I'm inclined to just stay with the roof and then do the other ones down the road and that type of project, because it doesn't seem, actually you mentioned it might be more of a cost with adding the general if we did them together. And
Yes.
so it seems to me that if we add these two on, it's going to cost us more and could delay the project. Normally when you have additions, it's usually a benefit of a cost savings or a time savings. And I don't think either of those apply to this. So in my opinion, I think we just go with the roof. And thank you for the information on the other ones, but eventually you may, have to look at those down the road too. So that's my 2 cents.
Would we have an advantage at this point in time in doing the engineering and the architectural work on the second part of it, the windows and the tuck pointing, and get that ready for bid, but then we don't bid it until...
This is shooting myself in the foot, of course, but I don't think that it's enough work to require an
Not a big deal.
architect.
Okay.
We can help, and we can help you bid, but ultimately, the cost associated might be within or below your cap to where you don't have to bid it.
All
And
right,
I guess
yeah, that
that's,
was gonna be my next question.
Dan, you may have to confirm that, I suppose, right? But that's my initial speculation.
Yeah, if we did them as separate projects, the tuck pointing and the window rehab work would be under the bid limits. They're fairly, in the grand scheme of things, they're fairly inexpensive.
Yes. That's
So
my,
Stacy, at this particular point, you'd like to get this to bid and try and get a contractor or a roofing company to take it and get it done this fall yet, if possible.
it
Otherwise-
seems, it seems possible. It's
Okay.
not a terribly big roof. Roofing replacement doesn't take forever to do, so long as you can get the crew there.
Yeah.
I guess I would make a motion to accept the project with the roof replacement only and move forward with the bidding process of that.
Second.
Second. Motion is second. Discussion. Further discussion.
Does that include the drains?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Their total roof package of 351-ish. I don't know what the exact number is again.
That's everything. Yes.
Including the added drains.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
That's the roof replacement with development costs, combination of the drains and every 351, 937.50 is the preliminary budget analysis. So my motion would be, we move forward with that. I got a second, so. Any further discussion?
Can I suggest that you clarify the year in which this would fall under for your fiscal budgeting?
Next month, does that work for you? No, just kidding. Yeah, I guess my thought is this, is once we put this out, if we find a contractor that has an opening that something fell through and says, hey, I can knock this out in October, I would say sooner we can, it seems like almost all these projects are dependent on materials, but also the contractors themselves. And it seems like in our experience with bridges and different things like that, it's getting them there and stuff. And so I would just say if we could get as soon as possible, that'd be great. If we get nobody that wants to do it this year and they're booked out until July of next year, then it's July of next year. But if we would able to run into one that could knock it out before the end of the year, I mean, we have some contingency and stuff, and we have some thing that we could potentially use. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. So that would be my thought, is as soon as possible if we can get a contractor.
You will have to bid it out, I presume. And there's
Yes.
some time delay with that. It's
Yep.
about a month or so.
Yep.
But I think it's possible to get it within this year, whether that falls within this budget or the next. Next one's approved in October, right?
September.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be close.
Yep.
Well, and we can put it in next year's budget for sure if we want to. And then if it happens this year, we can make it a budget amendment or something like that too. So we'll probably put it in next year's budget. It's probably what we'll do.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Well, nope, I guess you decide.
Any further discussion on the motion? Do we need to call the roll, or
I would call a roll call, yes.
please call the roll?
Hostler. Bartley.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Any other comments? Anything there? Questions for us?
No, Stacy, we'll work to condense the schedule and arrange a time to discuss the precise bid window and work on the front ends and all that stuff with you soon.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your work.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's been fun.
Okay. It's the last of the agenda, but we still have some things to take care of in an executive session. So I'd look for a motion to enter an executive session again.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will be in executive session, and we have no more agenda items afterwards.